lovely good morning. It is yet another interesting Thursday morning where we focus on governance, policy, and politics. I'm your host, Patrick Soko, as usual, and I'm joined today by my new co-host, Makokwa Kozi. Together, we'll be running you through the program. We have a fully packed program today, as usual. Kozi, your perspective.
Yes, it's a beautiful Thursday, as Patrick has said it, and today, as usual, the program is fully packed, and we are glad that you chose channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on Go TV, and 106 on Top Stars. And remember that you can also catch us live on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and also you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We are live on those platforms, and later on we are going to be giving you an opportunity to call us and give us your perspective of the stories that we are looking at this particular morning. Patrick?
Interesting. So we'll go straight into our first segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Mufaya, so that we get to understand and learn more of health issues and what she has prepared for us specifically for today, being a Thursday. Let's get to listen.
Hi, I'm glad that you could join us today on the breakfast show on the Health Corner as we are talking about asthma. This week we've been talking about asthma, and we say that asthma is a chronic inflammatory disease that affects the airways, and usually it causes a hyperresponsiveness in the airways that usually leads to somebody having shortness of breath, difficulties breathing, and also having this chest tightness in the chest, and sometimes they would have a cough that would be progressive, so it comes about suddenly. And the other thing is that they would have a wheezing sound when they are breathing, when they're having the asthmatic attack. So today we'll talk about diagnosis and treatment. Usually in the hospital, asthma is diagnosed clinically. By that, we mean that just by hearing the patient, from the patient, how the symptoms began, and also listening to the chest of the patient, we'll be able to assess to say somebody is in an asthmatic attack. And this is followed by treatment, very aggressive treatment to try and relieve the patient from the asthmatic attack that they are in. So usually there are some medications that I use to treat the asthmatic attack in that moment, and these are medications that can be either, mostly we use inhalers, so would use some inhalers that the patient will be able to use in that moment and relieve the airways, so relieve the blockages in the airways and the narrowing of the airways. So we use some inhalers that contain certain medications that are used to treat the asthma. So we have certain medications such as salbutamol, which usually is prescribed in the hospital, and this is a common medication for asthmatic patients who need to be put on this inhaler so that they can be able to relieve their symptoms as quickly as possible. So patients who have asthma will need to go home when they're out of the asthmatic attack. Then they can be sent home on the inhaler. So the inhaler can be used at any point when they're having the asthmatic attack. Other times there are patients who have very severe asthma, and in these patients they would probably need certain other medications such as steroids that would help to relieve them from the symptoms that they are feeling. Now, these steroids are not to be taken for a very prolonged period, so it's only for a short period of time and then you stop. These are not used these are not to be used for a very long time, because they have very bad side effects. They have side effects that are not good for the body, and so we try to minimize the use of these steroids. But if it's a patient who has asthma and they need to be we need to prevent them from having these asthmatic attacks very often, then we'll put them on some steroids as well. So those are some of the medications that I used to treat asthma. There are other medications as well that are not so common in our country or in our setting, but they can also be found in certain pharmacies and certain hospitals as well. So if you have any other questions, if you need to know more about asthma, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakoyanamfire. And if you want to watch any of the other videos, you can watch them on YouTube at Dr. Nakoyanamfire. Make sure you watch tomorrow again, as we'll be talking about how you can prevent yourself from getting an asthmatic attack. And also invite your friends and your family as well. I'll see you again tomorrow. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. That was Dr. Mufaya there giving us an insight on health. Interesting segment we continue to bring to you on the Camnet Breakfast Show. It is also up for sponsorship and partnerships in case you wanted to come on board, as well as showcase your services. If you are a health provider, for instance, you can do that on this segment, which is highly watched and has its own following. So you can maximize this opportunity by taking advantage and making sure that you just get on board, and we cater to partner as well as advertise your products. Various segments on the Breakfast Show are equally up for sponsorship. You can equally come and appear on the Camnet interview in case you are launching a product or something. You can equally come and talk to us, and we'll be able to provide that platform for you. Don't be afraid of the rates. We are flexible, we are manageable, and we are just going to make sure that we assist your business. We aid you in terms of you growing as you grow together with us as Camnet TV, a channel of a choice. Now we have to also look at the other interesting segment, because let's understand how the culture is performing this morning as of Thursday, according to the updated version of the financial institution that we monitor for the foreign exchange. Let's get to look at that particular scenario there. Let's have it there. Let's see, we are starting with the rand, which is actually buying at 1 kwacha 04 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 0.06 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 24 kwacha 0.73 ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 280 ngwe. One US dollar is buying at 19 kwacha 86 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 25 ngwe. The euro is buying at 21 kwacha 0.30 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 0.72 ngwe. So those are your money markets. So you can see there that the kwacha is running away there. You can see against the US dollar, it has gone to 19 kwacha 86 ngwe on the aspect of buying. In terms of selling, it has already hit the 20 kwacha mark, and we just hope it won't continue to go upwards to 21. That won't be good, because the worst case scenario for the Zambian currency was 23 kwacha against 1 US dollar. If you remember, it had reached the 23 and 24 at some point, but 23 has been there, 22, 21, that's under the previous administration. But towards the 2021 general election, we saw it stabilized a bit to about 19 kwacha, and we've been trading around 16 to 20 kwacha, and that we have been trading for that range for a long against $1 US. But it goes to show you that we need more kwacha to just get a single dollar. It tells you that our currency is not performing very good, and that's something we need to change. How can we change this?
Like we indicated yesterday, I think the most important thing for our economy is to ensure that the kwacha is a little bit stable against major convertibles. So we need to put up measures that are going to stabilize the kwacha. This issue of fluctuating, I think, has its own effects. And 23 kwacha at one point. The kwacha went against the dollar. At one point it came as low as 15, 16.
Yes.
So I think that these fluctuations must be, I don't know what could be done.
Yeah, they make it difficult to plan, because when you have unstable currency, it means that the day you are planning under this costs, and the other week the costs have changed. So even when you are planning, for example, for your fuel, for your imports, you discover that the price continues to vary, and that also burden is translated to the consumers. The consumers have to bear the burden, because a company will not have to bear the loss. So they'll say, okay, since we are buying at this cost, so the cost will also be transferred to the consumers. And that, for me, is something we need to make sure that we pay attention to, because if we do not address such issues, it becomes difficult for our planning purposes, and of course us just getting the economic fundamentals going as they should. Now, let's also now get to our next segment, where we start zooming the headlines. And these are stories that are in the main news as of last evening. So we get to look at some of the stories. What are the people talking about? What are the major events happening in the country? So let's get to listen. What do you have there?
Before we leave the issue as the issue of the kwacha and its performance against the major convertibles is still fresh on our minds, let's have a look at the story where the JCTR, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, says the cost of living for a family of 5, as measured by the Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket (BNNB) for the month of May 2023 in Lusaka, reduced by 34.67 kwacha. JCTR's Social and Economic Development Program Officer Aguila Ngoma says the basket moved from 9,112 kwacha to about 9,077 kwacha. Now, Mr. Ngonga says the downward movement can be attributed to the price decreases in food items, such as 3.6 liters of cooking oil, 14 kilograms of other fruits, and 16 kilograms of bananas. But some traders at Kaunda Square Market say the price of commodities have never reduced due to the high prices of transport, hence challenging the government to further consider lowering the price of fuel.
Let's look at that story.
The high exchange rate, coupled with the high prices of fuel, has continued to put pressure on the Zambian economy, which has resulted in the high prices of essential foods, goods, and services. According to the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, the basic need and nutrition basket for the month of May 2023 in Lusaka reduced by 24.67 kwacha from 9,112 kwacha to 9,077 kwacha.
Basic needs and nutrition basket for the month of May 2023 in Lusaka stood at 9,077.93 kwacha. In comparison to the recorded figure of 9,102.60 kwacha in April 2023, this signifies a decrease of 34.67 kwacha. The basket's downward movement can be attributed to price decreases in food items such as 3.6 liters of cooking oil, which dropped by 51.72 kwacha from 162.20 kwacha to 110.48 kwacha. 14 kilograms of other fruits, which dropped by 47.43 kwacha.
But a check at Kaunda Square Stage 1 market has shown that the prices of most food items are still very high, which is affecting many businesses.
300, 45. Pear, 80, 250. Apple, 100, 400. Nuts, 60, 2 cents. Banana, 90, 185.
Aka 30, aka 40, aka 50. In 270, aka 150. Rice, aka 10, aka 20, aka 30, aka 40.
The traders have since called on the government to consider lowering the cost of fuel, which they say has been a major contributing factor to the hike in transport fares, which they say is the reason why most food items have still remained high despite the reduction in some prices.
Reorder, baleda ndawula pali transport. Kwe bati transport ili high. Ndeti bachite manage. So ba government nga batu bafishe ko fuel yabwera maybe kutufya bako bwira. Tuleorder ku government maybe kutufya twafishe. Namba kutuleorder ku bantu baneso. Bale bomfya ama transport. Tibachipisha shani.
Paswa mayegyaye. Turashita 50 kwacha 3. Namba fwe bafushtisha. Warasha paishinga. So batulolekeshe ko mboye ba government bebe kwa abantu balabaleta amayegi batukweseshe nabena balela ndati feed na ifo yali dulu ngafo kutwa kwesha shana ero plus fuel yakuleta nayo bali rumba.
For now, government has to find a way of quickly addressing the high exchange rate, high fuel prices, and the high inflation rate, which has remained above the target range if it is to lower the cost of living. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
So thank you very much. That is a story that is coming, telling us about the reduction in the BBNB, which is the basic needs basket. And we did go in the field as seen in that particular story and spoke to some women who are traders, and they actually don't think that there are any commodities that had been reduced as suggested by the JCT. Patrick, interesting revelation, so interesting story here where JCT tells us that the BBNB has reduced by 35 kwacha.
Yeah, so if you look now leveraging, if you look at the cost, it should have been the entire cost for a family of 5 in Osaka should be leveraging around 9,000, is it? Over 9,000 somewhere there. And
it's actually at 9,777 kwacha.
Yes. So what happens is that of that total amount, a reduction was only about 35 kwacha. So now of that, you say maybe when on cost of, let's say cost of vegetables, a reduction of 1 kwacha, cost of carpenter, a reduction of 1 kwacha. But you know, so overall, in terms of when you aggregate them, that's the reduction of that was recorded there overall. But now, since these people, when you are getting things on, you are ordering them one-on-one and everything. So at the end of the day, for the traders, they will tell you that the difference cannot be felt. So there's no difference. Even in that, it's not significant.
Sure.
If we're talking about a reduction of a 1,000 kwacha, I will tell you even them, they would have reflected to say, okay, now most commodities are a bit cheaper compared to last month. But it shows you, to tell you, it shows that the commodities haven't been any cheaper. Now, and that for me, it explains that itself why we are where we are at the moment. And if you look in that story, Prudence did highlight important factors pertaining to inflation. because the government has its own target of inflation of keeping it at a single digit, between 6 and 7 range there, between 6 and 8 range. But now, if you look at the inflation, it has hit the double digit. So now, it's so easy to say things, the economy is not performing as it should. It is the government had projected, but they have failed to meet their projections due to various circumstances. And key among them is the issue of debt sustainability and debt restructuring, because the issue of debt restructuring is what is affecting this government, in that this huge debt has to be renegotiated. Now, renegotiating the debt is not easy. So now we are now found in a situation whereby, because of the protracted debt, people still have skeptics to invest. Are still skeptic to invest in Zambia, because they feel to say this country may be sanctioned for its debt, or this debt may not be restructured, and this country may be incurring a lot of economic difficulties. So that may lead to policy uncertainties. So even investors are reluctant to invest. So even our finance minister, Dr. Stombeko Msukotwane, did indicate that because of that, some bond holders were reluctant. Those investing in the bond, in Zambian bonds, they were reluctant to say, is Zambian bonds, are they safe? Are we safe? Because they may be subject to the destruction process. So now, all those things are compounded together. We are where we are now, and the women they are feeling the branch, and where you have a limited capital, you get your orders there, and you want to sell. At the end of the day, it becomes to you when you are translating the cost to the consumers. Sometimes also the consumers don't have money to buy. You've seen such scenarios where people say, you have many, now we may go to such kind of inflation where you have more goods chasing few money. And that also kind of inflation is not good. So now you find people now getting into these losses and everything, because you end up selling at a loss just to see maybe if you can recover your capital, all those things. But that points to the business aspect, whereby you may have your commodities, but people won't buy that bread because probably they don't have money. So you're saying this bread, you have to get it only at 25 kwacha. They'll tell you to say, I don't have money, I can only maybe, now you reduce, you go and buy you buy something that is manageable. You say, okay, we are going to eat porridge because we cannot afford bread. So now that kind of inflation also is not good. But like those women are saying, it has been difficult for them. I know people can relate to this story because this is a daily activity at the marketplace. You know that, Kozi.
Sure.
Yeah. So in case you also want to join us and give us your perspective on that story, you can get in touch with us right now and give us your views on the cost of living, which is what those marketeers at Kaunda Square in Lusaka were talking about. Prudence did bring us that story. Now, we also have other stories that were making the headlines, and for me, I have with me a story where the Third Liberation Movement President Enoch Tonga is charged that President Hakainde Hichilema is not sincere for calling on opposition political parties to provide alternative policies, charging that they are not ready to listen to divergent views. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Tonga claims that if the current government is genuine about fighting corruption, they would have implemented his recommendation to make graft a non-bearable offense. So let's get to listen to that story. We'll be back.
Corruption is a cancer that continues to undermine Zambia's social and economic development, and successive governments have in the past prescribed various solutions, but to no avail. And it is now the time for the governing United Party for National Development, UPND, to make attempts. Most officials who served under the Patriotic Front administration continue to be targeted in the fight against corruption, given that they were administrators of national resources before the current rulers. But many governance actors continue to raise concerns that the UPND government has not yet secured any prominent conviction ever since it started arresting and taking people to court for corrupt practices. And Third Liberation Movement President Enoch Tonga has doubted government's commitment to fight corruption.
Sadly, the mining sector, which is the bedroom of the Republic of Zambia, has been left into the hands of foreigners. Foreigners' interest is to make profit and take whatever they make outside the nation. Zambia remains poor. The way out is to ensure that we organize, bring our own people, indigenous companies, Zambians, privately so, to run these mines, because we know that once they build on profit, these Zambian-owned institutions will build right here in the Republic of Zambia. So we cannot trust foreigners. We must trust our own people with a bedroom, that is the mines, the minerals which God has given us. We must use our own people. That is the way to go.
He has charged that it is illogical for President Hakainde Hichilema to call on the opposition political parties to provide alternative policies when they seem to be uninterested to listen to divergent views.
It's laughable. It will be, how can I call it, a crime, an unforgivable crime, if ever Zambia was to think of PF again. And it's not even correct for an individual to talk about PF. You are born, the next thing is exiting, death follows. And that's the principle of life. PF existed at some point. They were given an opportunity to run the affairs of the Republic of Zambia. What is it that they did? Nothing. Enriching themselves, confusion, corruption. And they were kicked out. And who would think like that? You would be wrong to go back to your vomits. So in a summary form, do not ever think of bringing back Edgar Lungu's PF organization into public office. Doing so will be hanging ourselves as a nation. We must look ahead and identify the new leadership, and that is the Third Liberation Movement and Enoch Tonga.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Okay, there you have it. That was Mr. Tonga highlighting various issues there are happening in the country and giving us his perspective on quite important issues there. And let's get to look at another story that we have on that end.
Another story that is on this particular segment comes from Parliament, as members of Parliament from the Opposition Patriotic Front Tuesday afternoon walked out of Parliament in protest against what they termed as vindictive arrests and prolonged detentions. Leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, led Patriotic Front members of Parliament in a press conference where he expressed displeasure over the continued arrests. He says they are not against the arrests, but the manner in which they are being arrested. He alleges that police officers are getting instructions from State House to effect arrests on BF lawmakers.
That this country is slowly sliding into a police state, where the police are the law unto themselves. The police are given instructions straight from State House on how to harass these honorable members of Parliament. And we know the skill. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what is going on. The President of this Republic, President Hakainde Hichilema, intends to instill fear in these members of Parliament, because attempts have been made to try and get them on the UPND side. These honorable members that you are seeing here, countrymen and women, are honorable members. These are citizens that have stood by you, the voters, and have vowed to continue providing checks and balances in this country. So when they've been unable to attract the attention of these honorable members, they've resorted to intimidation and persecution. So today's protest, the walking out of Parliament, was to send a message, firstly to the Minister of Home Affairs, that we will not stand idle and allow our members to be harassed in the manner that the police have continued to do. This is also a warning to the Inspector General of Police. Act within the law, act with respect. The people that you are seeing here are members of Parliament, elected members of Parliament. Each one of these have got over 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people that voted for them. They therefore cannot be treated in the manner that you, Inspector General of Police, have continued to act. There were recent reports that police intend to train some of their staff. Our recommendation as members of Parliament is that we start with the top command, because so far the police have been very disappointing in the manner that they've handled the police matters. We want to appeal to you, Inspector General of Police, ensure that your top command are fully trained to even understand the ways in which members of Parliament or elected members of Parliament should be treated.
So that is what transpired yesterday at Parliament buildings, where the opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament walked out of Parliament in protest against the what they termed as vindictive arrests and prolonged detentions. Now, Patrick, the issue of police arresting people and the prolonged arrests. Just the other day we were talking about the issue of Zumani also being kept in detention for over 8 days, and we are back today. Brad Mundubile says there are a lot of prolonged detentions and vindictive arrests of people, and he goes on to say that these arrests, police are getting instructions from State House to arrest these people, and one interesting thing that he has brought out is that, you see, these are members of Parliament voted into these offices by people in their respective constituencies.
Yeah, I think also, to some point he has a valid point. If you hear what he says, dignity is also important. These are lawmakers. I don't think they would disregard a summon or a call out from the police. I don't think they would disregard that. I think they would honor that. But sometimes you think that you'd say the police will just ambush you and say, as if you want to run away. Then you just make sure that they carry you. I don't know if it is they are meant to inflict fear or what. Yeah, but and that was. But you think was it justifiable for them to walk out of Parliament?
Walking out of Parliament has always been the issue from the time of the current the UPND in opposition. Also, they used to walk out of Parliament if they are aggrieved, and now it's the PF. They are also walking out of Parliament when they are aggrieved, and most people have always thought that maybe walking out of Parliament may not be a solution to some of these issues that we are faced with. If, for example, the issue of arrests being vindictive, as they have put it, how do you best address it? Is it to walk out of, because the people, the 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people that voted for you to be in Parliament and address issues in that particular house. So when you decide to walk, I think you're not serving justice to the people that voted for you. But anyways, people also have to speak out if they feel that their rights are being trampled upon. So they feel that they are being arrested, their arrests are vindictive, and the detentions are. This, I mean, it is law. You can't keep somebody in detention for over 48 hours without taking them to court. So I think it is justified. Their cries are justified.
You're right. The cry is justified there, and you know, yeah, it is quite yeah. You know, the strategy sometimes that they arrest you, then they do not charge you there. They keep you, then they tell you about the charge, then so that you start facilitating for police bond.
Sure.
But and sometimes in the worst case scenario, you can only get a bail from the courts. That's after 48 hours. You understand? So now they would have kept you there in detention. But these are the issues that we talk about in terms of the area of justice that we need to continue to iron out as a country, because we continue with the same cycle.
Does it, however, make sense to arrest somebody without a charge? To arrest you and only charge you after 2-3 days?
For me, I don't think it makes sense. It does not make sense, because if President Ichilema is on record saying,
yes,
do your investigations. You just can't wake up and say, Makoka, we are arresting you. Okay, you are arresting me, quite okay. For what? You see? So when you come, for this crime that you have assaulted Soko, you have been arrested.
Yes.
So you are knowing, say, I have a charge. You know I have a charge of assault. You even call your lawyers, so that your lawyers prepare the formalities as they come to you.
Yes.
You understand? It is easy that way. But now you just got to say, you know, those things. I think we have gone past that, especially that Republican president is a Democrat who wants the rule of law to take its center stage. For me, I feel we should try by all means to uphold by the commitments of the president, because he has time and again not missed his words, especially every time he has an opportunity to address the nation, that he wants rights of citizens to be respected. He wants the courts to play their role, but play their role in a manner that they do not disadvantage others. For example, yes, the president was categorically stated that even judges are not above the law, and that they should also not be taking people for granted, and that they should stop abusing the law to disadvantage the suspect. Is the president who is on record calling for speedy justice delivered, because he is cognizant of the fact that justice delayed is justice denied. Now you can imagine, now justice delayed starts at the police station. Now it becomes a problem. But also in terms of this issue, there's a lot of let me tell you about this cause. There's a lot of injustice that happens to the poor compared to the rich.
Sure.
Yeah, so like those privileged citizens, like they would even manage if the worst case comes in, they can still get bail within 3 days. Okay, if it is the worst case scenario. But for the poor, you and I can visit any police station there. You'll find them in detention for about a month, weeks. They're just in police detention because probably they do not know that they have a right to a police bond. They do not know that they can actually get bail through the courts. They do not know that they don't have to pay for these services. But the thing they know is that you need to pay for you to get a police bond. So these are real stories and real issues, Kozi. So if you look at them, if you have a look at them, you agree with me that you would see that there's actually a very misnomer there that needs to be addressed, and making sure that justice benefits not only the rich but the poor as well. Because for people, especially those who are ignorant of the law, you can be in incarceration before your case starts. You can be in incarceration for 5 years or even 3 years before you are subjected to court. People are in Elimandi. People are in custody in various detention centers for the same reasons. Is it? But how? How come? When the matters are bondable one day, you have a lot of Elimandis. So these are issues we need to be paying attention to. Now you discover that you would have been judged twice. You have been judged before the actual judgment, and you'll be judged when your case starts, is being heard in court. You'll be judged twice. So all those things, when we start looking at them as serious as a country, we'll make progress in terms of addressing justice speeding up justice and making sure that justice is served both for the state as well as for the suspects. So let's you spoke very well on that other aspect of let's look at how it used to happen, the walkouts in Parliament. You know, when the UPND used to walk out, the PF would say, why are they walking out? They are crybabies and everything. Is it necessary for them to walk out? But now today they are also walking out.
It's on them now.
They are walking out and yeah. But so anyway, walkout is provided for. It's one way of expressing displeasure of proceedings, parliamentary proceedings, and any other ill treatment. So their concern is that the Minister of Home Affairs could not adequately address their issues, and has been treating his colleagues as if with lack of dignity. So that was the message they wanted to send by walking out of the House. So if you see, there are many casualties under the Opposition Patriotic Front who are actually facing corruption charges there. And we hope that these cases will soon start getting closures, Cozy, because we have not secured any major convictions. If you ask in terms of those who are being arrested and others who are being subjected before the courts of law, we have not yet gotten major convictions on that aspect.
And also the issue of arrests and detentions, prolonged detentions. How do you? Maybe I'm just thinking. The Uzakambira Kusogolo statement, how did it come about? How would a police officer come to arrest you and not tell you why they are arresting you? You try to ask, they tell you Uzakambira Kusogolo. How does that work?
I think that
was this the system when it was to a police force?
Yeah, I think so, especially under the one-party state. And as well as under other jurisdictions, like those laws we inherited from our colonial masters.
Yeah, but in this era, in today's world, it doesn't make sense really to pick up somebody and keep them for 1-2 days, and they try to find out what offense did I commit in the case of Zabwera, I mean, complainant Zabwera. No, the complainant is not around, and you are keeping somebody in detention. I think that such prolonged detentions, you would find that somebody out of idle standing, Shishida, spends days and days in police cells. I think we should move away from this kind of doing things.
Yeah, we need to move on.
Let's move on. You remember that you can also get in touch with us. You can get interactive on the issues that we're discussing this particular video. The numbers are on your screens if you want to get in touch with us. We do have a caller on the line, do we? Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You can connect me to the studio.
You are live, on Camnet TV. Please go ahead and give us your thought.
You are Mr.
I'm Victor Killer, calling in from Russia.
Russia, all right. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. I was listening to the leader of the opposition, Mr. Grant on the media.
Yes.
And I totally agree with him, because those that were in the PF and the single source have been taken to court. But you see what is happening in the UPND, they are single sourcing. So what type of the fight against corruption is this? Because these are double standards now. Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you very much for that particular contribution. We really do appreciate your contribution. You can also call us on the numbers that are on the screens if you want to make a contribution. Alternatively, you can go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and leave your comments on this particular broadcast. This is the Camnet Breakfast, and we are looking at quite a number of stories that we want you, also our viewers, to give us your thought on those particular stories. Patrick.
Yeah, so let's look at one other story. That's a story where Zesco Limited says was losing a sum of 42,000 United States dollars annually to a named Indian company whose system was being used to process Zesco payroll. So let's get to listen to that story. We'll be back on the other side.
Zesco, Zambia's power utility company, had been losing a sum of 42,000 United States dollars annually to a named Indian company whose system it had been using for many years to process its payroll.
Then he asked me a question to say, so our foreigners have our salaries, isn't it? So I said, yes, they have. Okay, so how much was this payroll system? I said it was about $452,000. And the any changes which happens, what happens to it? Do they charge you? I said yes, we have a yearly fee, support and maintenance, it's about $42,000. And if there's an enhancement, you pay something like $10,000, $20,000.
This loss, however, came to an end in December of 2022 when the new managing director, Victor Mapani, directed that the company, working with Smart Zambia, should come up with its own system that will allow for the company's payroll to be processed locally, thereby employing more Zambian people.
In January 2022, Zesco aggressively embarked on a digital transformation journey. And the first one that came through was I refused to be paid from a payroll which was being managed by someone from India, seated in a nice office in India, and then receiving all our hard-earned money in its forex form. And so I tasked Frank and team that we are going to change this and we're going to do it.
The MD, who spoke at the launch of the digital transformation platform in Lusaka Wednesday, says he is happy that the system has finally come to life and says it has improved the operations of the company as well as helped Zesco save resources.
Check, for example, if there's any movement at all in the organization, even when a general worker is transferred, I'll receive a notification. I'll know exactly which person, where they are going and how they are going. And if there are queries, I would ask, but why is this person moving? There was an incident where there was a wholesome promotion of people. Somehow, over 100 people were promoted in 1 month. And I just sent a query saying, how did this happen? Was this digitally done? And then I was told, no, letters were done. I said, reverse them. And I click of a button, reversed all the transformation, all the promotions, which were mostly just based on leniency or this one favors this.
And Smart Zambia National Coordinator Percy Chinyama, who was present at the meeting, wants to see Zambia dive more into the technological space, adding that many countries that have invested in technologies, such as Singapore, have a stronger economy despite not having natural resources.
What Zesco has done is that it has just moved with the times. And this is how it should be. Moving with the times. So I am very happy with this development that has happened in your company, MD.
Digital transformation increases efficiency and productivity while offering better customer experience and satisfaction. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
That this country is slowly sliding into a police state, where the police are the law unto themselves. The police are given instructions straight from State House on how to harass these honorable members of parliament. And we know the scheme. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what is going on. The president of this republic, President Hakainde Hichilema, intends to instill fear in these members of parliament, because attempts have been made to try and get them on the UPND side. These honorable members that you are seeing here, countrymen and women, are honorable members. These are citizens that have stood by you, the voters, and have vowed to continue providing checks and balances in this country. So when they've been unable to attract the attention of these honorable members, they've resorted to intimidation and persecution. So today's protest, the walking out of Parliament, was to send a message, firstly to the Minister of Home Affairs, that we will not stand idle and allow our members to be harassed in the manner that the police have continued to do. This is also a warning to the Inspector General of Police. Act within the law, act with respect. The people that you are seeing here are members of Parliament, elected members of Parliament. Each one of these have got over 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people that voted for them. They therefore cannot be treated in the manner that you, Inspector General of Police, have continued to act. There were recent reports that police intend to train some of their staff. Our recommendation as members of Parliament is that we start with the top command, because so far the police have been very disappointing in the manner that they've handled the police matters. We want to appeal to you, Inspector General of Police, ensure that your top command are fully trained to even understand the ways in which members of Parliament or elected members of Parliament should be treated.
There you have it. Those are quite interesting stories. We were looking at stories. First of all, we looked at a story pertaining to the ZESCO, and that's the power utility firm. ZESCO has a huge workforce, in fact, because now you can imagine they were extending all those resources to that institution, a private entity of that matter, an Indian company. And you saw that their system was not watertight. If you look at incidents we've been receiving pertaining to cadres being on the payroll, these are some of the issues that were emerging, because it's easy to manipulate that system, and because the system was imported, and you can see how it was prone to that. Let's pick this call.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
My name is Amon Zulu.
Mr. Zulu, please go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Yes, my thought is about the leader of the opposition in Parliament. What surprises me about these politicians, they cry about things they do. When they are in office, they do not dream of doing the best that the country should have.
Yes.
KDPF is crying today. They are crying on the same things that they used to do to UPNG when they were in opposition. So Wamundubira should have been the first person to have taken a step to do the correct thing at the time they were in office. Even UPNG, they are in office today. They should also strive to do things that will stand the test of time in terms of policing of the nation. So the opposition should not try. If a person has got a case to answer before the police, before the courts of law, let them just answer, because the police will not pick a person who has no case. So definitely, those things are not things that we should cry over to them. That's why we send these people to Parliament, for them to do the right thing, to make laws that will stand the test of time, not the laws that will suit a particular political party when they are in power. So let them just work on those things. The walking out of Parliament is not the solution. We have seen this. PF used to walk out when they were in opposition. UPNG started walking out when they were in opposition. Now PF is again walking out when they are in opposition. We do not vote these members of Parliament to go and walk out of Parliament. We want them to find solutions as how to lead, how this nation is going to be governed well, and the best law that will protect my child who is still a baby, so that we won't have a situation where we will have laws that will be reviewed now and then. Let's have things that will stand the test of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming through. We really do appreciate your contribution. You can also call us on the numbers that are on your screens if you have a contribution to make on the topics that we are looking at this particular morning. You can also go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and go to this particular broadcast, go to the comment section and leave your comments there as we continue to look at these particular stories. Patrick, he has brought an interesting aspect as regards the walking out of Parliament. It happened when the PF was in opposition.
They were doing that.
They came into power. UPND started walking out. UPND came into power. The PF have started walking out of Parliament.
Okay. The PF are doing it for the second time.
Sure.
Interesting. Yeah, but we hope that, like Mr. Zulu has stated, that when we are doing things, we should always do things for the interest of the nation.
Yes.
When you talk about the PF, for example, they were in office and they had an opportunity to change things, to make sure that this thing, even if they are out of power, does not happen. They create a conducive environment. So even Mr. Zulu also extended the advice to the UPND to say, even now you are in power, just do the right thing that creates a conducive environment for everyone to benefit from. Now, but for me, the question we should also be answering is whether is it genuine that they are being arrested, or is it malicious that they are being arrested?
Yeah, because the opposition is calling these arrests vindictive.
Yeah, but for example, let's speak about a few honorables that were arrested recently. Is Mr. Shagafusha, does he have a case to answer?
Let's quickly see if we can talk to the next caller before we continue with that thought. We do have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
Yes, this is William.
Hello?
I'm calling you from
Please go ahead, sir, and give us your thought.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the walking out from Parliament, especially, but not trying to get that something. To me, it was a good move. It was a good move in the sense that, you know, this country has been turned into a police state. You know, the only thing we can rely on as citizens is only the members of Parliament who are there to protect laws to govern this country. And you know, the country is being run by politicians, the so-called members of Parliament, including the president. Now, when these people they get into power, and when they are out making opposition, they speak good language and good English. A nice and beautiful English to encourage the Zambian people, the people to vote for them. But when they enter into government, what comes? They change and start gifting as if they are not part of the citizens or the Zambian people. Why today it can be come to a court in the European government to arrest the opposition political parties? Wow, when they were in opposition there, they were criticizing, calling names in the PF government and the means them to be a dictator. Now today, to arrest the other opposition political parties is either. Please, my friends in UPN, you can be done. Time is ticking. Concentration waiting. Not action. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming through. We really do appreciate your contribution. You can also call us on the numbers that are on your screens if you want to make a contribution on this particular program. We are looking at a number of stories, and you can also go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and go to the comment section and leave your comments there. We'll be more than happy to have a look at what you think about what we are discussing this particular morning. Moving on, interesting thought brought in by the previous scholar, Patrick. He says the MPs working out are justified because, according to him, he feels that the country is turning into a police state, and there are a lot of arrests that are being made.
Yes.
So, you, before he came in, was you were talking about the issue of walking out of parliament. We said before the UPND, when the UPND were in opposition, they were walking out of parliament. The PF is walking out of parliament, and the UPND is in power now. PF is walking out of parliament. The previous scholar said people are sent there to make laws that will be good enough for everyone, even children that are 2, 3, 4 years old now.
Yes, even those who are yet to be born.
Even those who are yet to be born. So when you are in that particular office, as you said, don't look at yourselves. Look at the future. Make laws that will be fit for both you and the opposition, and whoever is in this country. Then we will move away from this problem.
Yeah, you are right. Then again, if we also strengthen the the institutions of accountability, like the Office of the Auditor General, we strengthen the procurement process in the country. That those are key issues to deal with the issues of corruption, because these, at the end of the day, these are issues that tend to bring these members of parliament before the police and the courts of law. But are we doing that as a country at the moment? Or we are going with the same cycle? Again, where we see a situation where when the UPND leaves office, we see also them frequenting the courts, just like their counterparts. Those are things I think we need to be looking at as a country. Are we going to be a country that is going to be throughout talking about politics at the expense of development? For example, I understand that for me, the move they undertook, the members of parliament, is a way of sending a strong message to say we are not happy. It is provided for you by the law and how parliament is governed. It is provided for, but it is also a way of making sure that they send a strong message to say we are not happy with this. But again, we should also remember that we are also, when our Zambians are also depending highly on the PF to provide checks and balances to the laws that are coming before parliament. What happens if they walk out at a time the UPND may be presenting a bill which many Zambians may not be in favor of? How are they going to debate on behalf of the Zambians? Also, that also becomes a disservice on the part of the people. But these are processes we continue to encounter because our systems are weak. So if you see the issue of accountability, these the parliamentarians they are saying to say no, enough is enough. Let's do things in order. And I should also state that the leader of the opposition was categorical to say we don't mean that you shouldn't be arresting us, and that even if someone has committed a crime, you don't arrest them. No, what we mean is that can't you arrest people with dignity, or even call them, issue a call out? Because at the end of the day, if we do not respect our own leaders in our own country, then everyone else will think it is normal to disrespect our leaders. Then how do they hold the instruments of power if they are not respected? Just like it is not good for anyone to disrespect the president, you understand? Because at the end of the day, how would others or other countries see us? A nation that does not respect its leaders? You can imagine, even at family level, governance is at family level, where you are a parent and you are not being respected in your own house, in your own home. Then you are not running any family. You are not running any home. So all those things, if we see the injustice happening to MPs, what would happen to a vulnerable citizen? How would they be treated? It tells you that the levels of indignity will be high. It means that by the time they are reaching the cells, with the slaps they will receive, by the time they are getting into the cell, someone is already seeking medical attention. That's in the case of those who are vulnerable. So, but all those things are not right. And we are talking about, for example, laws to criminalize torture. We are talking about, we have seen that we are undertaking reforms to make the justice system friendly. And as much as it is punitive, it should be also respond to other issues such as human rights. Mm-hmm. But are we living up to that? Those are serious questions we need to be answering. I was talking about the story pertaining to ZESCO also, where we were looking at how ZESCO was spending a lot of money. That's $42,000 United States dollars annually to a named company which they used to manage their payroll system. Mm-hmm. So let's also look at the story. We have a story there pertaining to the courts. Interesting enough, which was being heard as of yesterday pertaining to ZESCO and some of PF supporters who were part of the payroll. And let's get to...
We do have a story, yes, from the courts where a chief accountant at ZESCO, Helen Kalumbi, 47, has testified before Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwili that the Patriotic Front sympathizer Francis Muchema, popularly known as Commander 2, was a bona fide employee of ZESCO in 2020. Ms. Kalumbi, in cross-examination, testified that the 141,400 kwacha paid to Muchema in form of allowances was authorized by the senior management at the power utility. This is in a matter in which Muchema is jointly charged with two others with 10 charges of money laundering related charges. The trio is facing 10 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime and failure to comply with the provisions of Income Tax Act. Let's have a look at the report.
A chief accountant at ZESCO, Helen Kalumbi, 47, has testified before Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwili that Patriotic Front sympathizer Francis Muchema, popularly known as Commander 2, was a bona fide employee of ZESCO in 2020. In her testimony, Ms. Kalumbi testifies that 141,400 kwacha was paid to Mr. Muchema in 2020 for allowances, citing that he was employed at the power utility firm in the Department of Security, which at the time was called Legal Directorate. In cross-examination, Ms. Kalumbi explains that the subsistence allowances were authorized by senior management at ZESCO. Meanwhile, a senior accountant at Lusaka City Council, Moses Piri, 39, testifies that in 2020, the council collected revenue below the expected budget from intercity bus terminus. He explains the main revenue streams at the bus station are bus registration, rentals, and gate fees. Mr. Piri testifies before Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwili that between September 2021 and September 2022, the revenue began to increase. The witness, with the use of graphs, explained that 18 million kwacha was amassed in 2021 between September as revenue from gate fees at intercity bus terminals, compared to 14 million kwacha in 2020 due to the pronouncement to remove cadres from bus stations. The state witness, in his testimony, indicates that after the removal of the alleged Patriotic Front cadres from the bus station, revenue streams increased but could not identify the accused. As the graphical testimony elapses, a quantity surveyor, Chireshendazie, 32, testified that in November 2022, she carried out a site visit in order to ascertain the cost of various properties owned by the accused, which were under investigation by the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC. In her testimony, Ms. Ndazie investigated a 4-bedroom dwelling house, 2-guest apartment with 3-story building kitchen, laundry, bar, an office, swimming pool, guardhouse, and incomplete structures at floor slab level, another at ring beam level. She says the total cost of the properties is about 10.8 million kwacha. In this matter, Mr. Muchemwa is jointly charged with 2 others with 10 charges of money laundering related charges. The trio is facing 10 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime and failure to comply with the provisions of the Income Tax Act. It is alleged that Muchemwa, popularly known as Commander 2, between January 1st, 2020 and August 31st, 2021 in Lusaka, dishonestly obtained a pecuniary advantage in the sum of 141,400 kwacha in the form of subsistence allowances from Zesco Limited on the pretext that he undertook official trips when in fact not. Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili has adjourned the matter to Thursday, 8th June 2023. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Thank you very much. So that is what is coming out of the courts, interestingly. And Patrick, this is a very interesting story. It excites me to read that an amount of 141,400 was paid was allegedly paid to Mr. Muchemwa for undertaking as an allowance for undertaking some assignment which actually did not happen.
Oof, we are privileged people. And for me, I think that story is really an eye-opener. And looking at the various twists and turns that came out of that court session, wow, you would wonder to say, just being a PF supporter.
No. The story says the chief accountant has confirmed that he was a bona fide employee.
But was he working? you know, that's the things we have to be now unpacking. So I think the court cases will be bringing those nitty-gritties.
Sure.
Because now we'll be knowing, was he really doing the work that he was claiming? You remember that the UPND were in opposition, because they were saying, we have PF cadres who are on the payroll for Zesco. Zesco is a cash cow. That I don't know why they never used to say it's a cash goat. They say it is a cash cow for political activities, and that we had some people who are on payroll for wrong reasons, and we just hope that this one was employed accordingly and was doing the job accordingly, and that the allowances were there accordingly. For me, if you look at that kind of money, it tells that Zesco has a lot of money, and sometimes it needs to also work on its own restructuring process in terms of undertaking an audit of human resource, because probably they would have had excess human resource that was not even necessary to be at the company. Now, sure. But Zesco continues to push the burden to us, the consumers, by increasing the cost of electricity. So now, but if they also do an audit to understand a human resource audit, I'm sure they would also save a lot of resources. And also in terms of the salary categories, so we see someone parting away with such huge sums of money, but at the expense of those who are laborers, who it's not easy to carry that poor. You have been seeing those guys in these communities. Let's pick this call.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm Kapalala from
Chirilabombwe. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
I'm calling from Chirilabombwe.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes. This program is very good. Yes, it's about the walking out of the opposition leader.
Yes.
I think this is very important. The law does not select anybody. stuff like that. When you don't have to select for arresting people. So that's why you think the opposition now, they are working out from the parliament because of select people. So I'm sure we don't know if the law expression of Zambia are still in existence. We don't hear any comments from them. During the PF time, the law expression of Zambia, they used to comment a lot over some of these issues. Even in the NGO. But this time, everybody is fine. Now we don't know what's going on in this country.
All right.
So let's be honest with some of these things. You know, thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, sir. He does bring out quite a valid point. You know, we are the Law Association of Zambia. The non-governmental organizations, NGOs, most of them are quiet. Probably they are waiting for appointments. Because if you look at the civil society space now, it's even difficult to find who's going to comment on this issue happening. You know, the Law Association of Zambia, we also had Oasis Forum, you remember? We had CISCA. Where is CISCA? Probably anyone understands CISCA is crippled. We had McDonald Chipenzi, who was part of CISCA, is now the ECZ commissioner. We had another critical voice that in Pamela Chisanga, who was the vice chairperson of CISCA. She's gone to serve in the foreign mission. So if you look at the NGO movement, also there's a shape. Sometimes this other Madam Judith Mulenga would speak out, but it's less. Sometimes as vibrant, they are not as vibrant as they are because there are less members who are active. Let's also talk about we had the likes of Nicholas Piri, who was Zitukule Consortium executive director, and he was also part of CISCA and among the critical voices of the CISCA. And CISCA is a civil society organization's constitutional agenda. He is now the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. So in the civil society movement, we are seeing that critical voices are also crippled. In that most of them.
What do you think leads to CSOs being crippled in such a manner? Because what I want to believe is that CSOs must be independent enough. They shouldn't seem to be taking political sides. This is what happens if a civil society organization is not on firm ground. You easily be swept off your feet.
You're right. I think the major weakness for civil society organizations is also the source of funding. In that the funders have to dictate how you use your money and whom are you talking against. You can only imagine, for example, if your funders are the funds of the administration. Will your funders allow you to criticize the serving administration? The answer is definitely no. And you see most civil society organizations being surrogates of major political parties. Let's get this call.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very
fine,
well.
and how are you?
Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm Mrs. Lindunda calling from Soweto.
Please go ahead, ma'am, and give us your thoughts.
Yes. I watched the TV yesterday. I saw that clip which you had put on TV, where they are talking about how much they got in this year and how much they got in another year. What I can say is that, as a nation, the things that we have learned, which were happening, which we didn't know, I think we are on the right track. Because are being reviewed, which we didn't even know, which we have known now. The only thing that we can do as a nation is to strengthen this nation to be a Christian nation. That is what we are supposed to do. Remember in the Old Testament, in Adam and Eve, they failed to keep the law. Yes, we have got the law. The law can be our enemy because sometimes we fail to find the evidence to make those people who do wrong things to maybe to be arrested. And you find them, because they are not arrested, they are even boasting. But if we strengthen the word of God, people are going to fear God. They will stop stealing in the horses. They will stop doing bad things wherever. Without the word of God, we cannot go very far. Yes, that is my thought. So what we need is fighting corruption, yes, it is being fought. And for me, our president is like King David in the Bible. And he's really fighting. But now our attitude can only be changed if we have the word of God. Without the word of God, I think we will not move.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am, and we thank you for being our female caller of the day, and we had male voices. About even yesterday we had male voices, and we value your contribution. A valid point you bring out pertaining to us sticking to the word, and the word will help us in terms of staying away from vices. It is a key message which we need to continuously preach, and that is that we should always acknowledge that we should live as a Christian nation, which Christians steals. So if we are Christians and we are stealing, then we continue to deceive ourselves.
Sure.
So we should, if we are Christians and we are engaging in corruption, and we are not ashamed. So if we are Christians, we are really Christians, we should live by the tenets of the Bible, especially upholding the 10 Commandments. So that's quite a valid perspective there from Sowezi, and we are happy that Sowezi is listening and watching us this morning. Camnet TV wants to make sure that Sowezi is not left out every time we have our programs, and we are going to making sure that we expand and we make sure that you feel part and parcel of our programming. And let's pick this call also. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir. Your name and where you are calling us from? Okay. Ndola. All right. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
My contribution is morning, guys. Yeah. It's not, yeah. Guys, the way we are doing is smoking. Apart from it, you have gone. The things are the one who can do corruption. No. The president, current president, our HS president, is doing a nice thing. It is very special. Yes, nobody will know who. Much more than nobody will know. Who is a fool? It is a fool. It is a fool. It is a fool. The president is a variety. They don't know the president. Let's follow the law. They want to give us what I want to tell the nation. You are going to have a money. Focus, that's the Nobody
Thank you very much, sir. Today, Bombesha, those are quite. Vandola vatupera maviews yapo ruchero vandola besu vakopa beoti besu vanwansha sana you know. Yeah, I'm just glad that we do manage to reach out to every other part of the country in terms of giving us divergent views, because they matter. Unfortunately, today we didn't get a call from Eastern Province, but we do get a lot of Eastern Province callers and Southern Province as well. Let's make sure that all the regions we get interacting on Camnet TV Breakfast Show, because this program is brought to you by Camnet TV to you, our dear viewers, where we make sure that your opinions matter and your opinions count, so that you continue giving us those perspectives on issues that are affecting you in your various localities. We cannot be everywhere, but we can be everywhere through you, our dear viewers. And we can only address help follow up your issues when you get us informed of what is happening in your various communities. Hence, we make this program as interactive as possible to make sure that you are free and able to contribute and be able to send us those issues that are affecting you. And interesting enough, we have another program here on Camnet TV, which is the Lunchtime Cafe, where we continue with information and education in various sectors of the economy. And the Lunchtime Cafe is an interesting program with various reloaded segments, and make sure that you also get to watch that program. It starts at 11:45 to 14 hours, and we look at diverse segments to make sure our dear viewers remember about where we are coming from as a country, where we are going, what is happening in our country, how are we safeguarding our health, what is happening, who is talking about, who's doing what. This is a program that is so interactive, and you have an opportunity to call us on that program, and we have provided a WhatsApp number where you are able to reach us with your views in terms of sending us voice notes, as well as sending us those video clips, and we'll be able to play them live on TV. You yourselves addressing issues, and we'll be playing those video clips. So we'll give you that WhatsApp line, and you can get interacting with us as wherever you may be as Camnet viewers. Remember to always keep it on Camnet TV. Cozy.
Yes, as Patrick has put it, we really do appreciate the support that we are getting from all the corners of the country. We do appreciate calls coming all the way from Solwezi and Wansha and Ndola also. Remember that wherever you are, you can also just pick up your phone and dial the numbers that are on your screens, and you get through to this particular program and give us your views as regards what we are discussing, or tell us what is happening in your particular district or area. So we just get to understand also what is happening that side of the country. So we are still on a Camnet breakfast, and Patrick, I know that we are now running out of time. Time is not on our side. We need to get to conclude the program.
Exactly. So this is where we have to call it a day, and remember to always keep it on Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel. Stay tuned.